Now we'll get started with the program. It is my pleasure to introduce Sarasota County Commissioner Charles Hines to officially open the 14th Annual Sustainability Communities Workshop. Charles Hines was elected to the Sarasota County Commission in 2012 and in 2016 and is the current board chair. A Florida attorney, Charles has practiced law in Sarasota County since 1991 and previously co-owned United Healthcare Services Incorporated. He currently serves on the Council of Governments, the West Coast Inland Navigation District, the Southwest Florida Regional Planning Council, the Economic Development Corporation, and he is also chairman of the Tourist Development Council. Please join me in welcoming Commissioner Charles Hines.
Thank you. Hey, good morning, everyone. Everybody doing well? It was good, the great coffee that we had here this morning. Isn't this a great facility? I just think it's beautiful every time that I come in here, the way it's been designed and developed. It's a great place to have meetings like this. So, as stated, I'm Charles Hines, and I'm chairman of the County Commission, and it's my honor to welcome you all and introduce and kind of set the frame for the 14th Annual Sustainable Communities Workshop. And as always previously stated, the theme for this year's workshop is Growing Greener Generations. And for the first time, speakers of all generations will come together to discuss sustainability issues that we all face in our community, state, and nation. Discussions will include the importance of food systems, renewable energy, social equality, climate change, waste reduction, planning and development, water quality, and more. I don't know if you need more. That's plenty of a list right there. Today's speakers will share examples and best practices of projects that they work on as individuals and are within their organizations to make our community a premier place to live. We encourage you to use these examples to spark conversations across generations, allowing us to look both backward and forward, but not at the expense of the present. After all, we cannot chart our course without engaging the next generation. It's crucial to involve our young people in these conversations because they will inherit what we leave behind. They deserve a voice in this conversation. And, you know, I was asked to kind of give an example of something in regards to thinking about my children. I have 3 children. They're all born and raised here as I was. And, you know, we spent a lot of time on the water. And when I was a kid, that's all we did. We didn't have cell phones. I think you had 3 channels, no remote control. You actually had to get up and turn the channel, so get out of the house. And that's what we did. Our freedom was bicycles and little John boats. And so I always think back, water quality to me. What was the water quality like when I was a kid? And I'm going to give you 2 good examples that it's better today than it was when I was a kid, and 2 examples of where it's not as good, and we got some work to do. So when I was a kid, I was on the boats all the time, every day, even with this red hair, and I know the skin cancer is coming out pretty soon. But it already is a little bit. So what I never saw as a kid in the water were manatees. Because I can still remember the first time I saw one in the wild, it scared the heck out of me. It's like, what is that? Wait a minute. Oh, okay, I saw it in a book, or I think I saw it at SeaWorld. Okay. It was a unique experience, and it stuck in my mind when I first saw that one when I was maybe 10 or 11 in the wild. Now when you go out, you see them all the time, and that's a great thing. So things that we've done over the past 30 or 40 years have made a difference. The other thing that I'll give you the example is the good one. When I was a kid, if you saw a bald eagle, that was a big deal. You did not see them, and if you did, you remembered it. You're like, oh my God, you told everybody I saw a bald eagle today. Now if you go out, pretty much, if you take some time and look, you will see them. And so what we've done over the past few decades in those 2 areas have made a big difference. 2 areas that we've not done such a good job on since I was a kid that I've noticed, and I'd like us to see this reversed in the next decade or so. When I was a kid, told you we're out in the boats, right? We could pluck oysters out of Lyons Bay in Nokomis or Lemon Bay in Inglewood and eat those oysters right there, and they were great. Not today. And we've allowed stormwater and septic systems and the way we manage our water systems to ruin those types of things so that those filter animals we cannot enjoy them. They're struggling to do their job, and many of them have died. The other example is fiddler crabs. When I was a kid, again, you would see them everywhere. Sandy beaches, in the mangroves, they were everywhere. A healthy system. Well, we cut gashes in our earth to drain stormwater, to get it off our property as quickly as possible, or off our roads as quickly as possible, and have sent dirt and muck and all of that into all these bays and areas that sand where they lived is now covered with muck, dirt. So you don't see those as often. So if we can begin to reverse and work on those, and the information that you gather here from today, that you can take to elected officials like myself and say, hey, look, here's 2 examples where we did things right, manatees and eagles. Here's 2 examples of things that we're not doing so well. Let's change our policies to reverse those, so that I would hope one day that my kids or my grandkids can go to the beach or go to our bays and estuaries and see those healthy systems again. As a board, we've tried to lead by example when it comes to sustainability, meaning the Sarasota County Board. Sarasota County has long supported sustainable projects and continues to do so. Some of the county's efforts include being recertified as a green local government in 2015 by the Florida Green Building Coalition, implementing a new grant program and a collaborative initiative, Partners for Green Places, which helps human services and environmental nonprofits reduce operating costs, installing panels on Sarasota County Operations Center and Extension Green Building, and adding solar water heaters to our fire stations, which saves taxpayers dollars. And I guess our firefighters also really like that the water's good and hot. So, investing in fuel-saving technologies in our county vehicle fleet, including plug-in electric cars, and installing 18 electric vehicles charging stations with 30 ports. I'm going to go off script here again and ask you all a question, because talking about electric vehicles and so forth, how many people here today drove their own car here today? How many people carpooled today? How many people took public transportation? Okay, this is sustainable. Okay, I'll come back to this point in a minute, because one of the questions already asked today is, are you living a more sustainable lifestyle this year than last? Sarasota County continues making energy-efficient green building technologies as part of our facilities, such as our LEED certified fire stations, libraries, and the Extension Building, reaching nearly 1,700 households through our energy upgrade program, saving residents an estimated $28,000 per year. Also, we're developing a volunteer training program to help identify energy and water efficiency issues in low-income housing and apply upgrades. These are moves that lower utility bills for Sarasota County families struggling with housing costs. But even with these steps, we know the work is not complete, and we must never stop looking forward and looking for ways to protect our future. We also realize our continued commitment to sustainability cannot be accomplished without the community, without the help of everyone in this room. I'll come back to that. So let's let this workshop serve as a place where everyone, unless to ensure a better world for the next generation. I'd like to thank Sarasota County's IFAS Extension and Sustainability Department for organizing this workshop. Their work translates research into community education and volunteer opportunities related to many aspects of sustainability, including agriculture, landscaping, natural resources, and more. Is everyone in here familiar with our IFAS program? And if you haven't, I see a couple people shaking their head. Take some time today to talk to them, to see what they do, especially if you live in this community. The list of things that they can do to help you even in your home, let alone your neighborhood or your community. It's a great opportunity to relate with them and say, how can we make our yards, our communities more Florida friendly and so forth. This event also is a true partnership between Sarasota County and our valued local organizations and their committee members, including Manatee County, the City of Sarasota, Sarasota Bay Estuary Program, the table in the back, make sure you talk with them, Florida Department of Health in Sarasota County, Ringling College of Art and Design, and Transition Sarasota. So thank you for your dedication and leadership on this issue, and I encourage everyone in this room to think of the personal changes you will make as a result of what you learned today, and I want everyone to commit to sharing what they've learned and your knowledge and ideas to keep this conversation going. So as elected official, like I said, I was going to come back to a couple things. Just don't take what you learn here today and put it in your pocket and go home. You got to educate your elected officials on things. All of us come from different backgrounds, have different areas of expertise, and just from my knowledge on the county commission, we deal with so many issues all the time. And it's not until, and I've been saying, I'm preaching a little bit to our staff that's in this room, and they've heard this talk before, but from you and the general public, you got to tell us what needs to be done. We may or may not always agree with you, but we need information to make proper decisions. And usually when the county commission or the city commission has the full amount of information and options that are available to them, then we can make those decisions. And we've had that recently with some water quality issues that we've had with some plants that we own that weren't up to snuff, in my opinion, but we didn't know that. As elected officials, we didn't know that we could have done best practices on one of our water treatment plants. Once we learned of that information, we made that change. So whatever entity you're involved with, don't keep this information to yourself. Now, I joked to you about how many people here drove your own cars. I'm curious to see what will happen in the next 5 or 10 years when we really start getting into the idea of electric cars, autonomous cars, and our community grows to the point that public transportation becomes a viable option for people. We get the most complaints about traffic. Every day people complain about traffic. And it is an issue, but I say to them, have you been to DC? Have you been to Atlanta? Have you been to Boston recently? Yeah, okay, I get it. So traffic is an inconvenience, but when it comes to the environment, it has negative impacts. And so it'll be curious when this happens in 5 years from now, how many people didn't drive their own car? It was an autonomous car, or you truly carpooled, or we truly had a public transportation system that worked, that you said, you know what, that's a viable alternative. I don't need to hop in my car today. Our community's big enough that that'll work. So hope you learn a lot. Please share it with your elected officials. We need this information. Thank you.